It's Friday. Welcome in. We are back. It's the Three-Man Weave College Basketball Show, the Friday edition. This is hosted by our friends at sportsbookreview.com. Shout out to the folks at SBR. They've been great to us and continue to be so this season. As a result, guys, let's give back to them. Let's hit that like button on this YouTube video that you are watching and subscribe to their channel, youtube.com/SBR Sports. They've got all types of betting shows for every sport you can imagine, whether you want to hit the Premier League or the NBA or possibly my Packers in the NFC Championship game this weekend. Get hyped. I certainly am.
Jim, who
also, they're playing the Buccaneers, the Tom Brady's, the Toms.
Light work, Jim. You got it.
Yeah. I haven't looked at any NFL covers this year. That's good. I'm glad I'm getting up to speed on the NFL. This is a good learning experience.
Also, check out sbrpicks.com/NCAAB, the URL at the top of the screen. Lots of great information there, more write-ups. If maybe you're looking for even more depth in our analysis, they've got plenty more there. So check that out. Guys, let's get into the Friday show. Let's start with a little brief reflection on Thursday night. Matt, I'm going to let you trumpet your Hoosiers first here.
Hoosiers is right, Jim. My alumnus now owns claim to the best win in college basketball this year. You cannot find a better win from a resume perspective than what the Hoosiers pulled off last night at Iowa. Just the fact that they put on the late run was impressive, but then they continued to step on the gas to the point where it was basically a blowout toward the end. Iowa shot terribly, so that was certainly an anomaly. Found out how much they missed C.J. Frederick. But the Hoosiers trending up right now. They're now 4-1 in the last 5 games against the number. And so far this year, they were 4-1 as a dog. I think some teams play better as favorites. Some teams play better as underdogs. IU definitely in the latter of that camp. So we'll probably talk about more of those types of teams as we go on today. Ky?
Yeah, Matt. Great job. Great win for your university. You guys really needed it. I'm proud of you. Yes. I'm going to talk about a different Big Ten team in a different light. Rutgers. They're broken. Frankly, they're just broken. 5 straight losses straight up and against the spread. They've gone from 19-46 in KenPom. Guys, Ron Harper is a big reason why. He's been struggling. He played okay against Penn State, but his other games in that 5-game stretch have been woof, to put it lightly. There's been some shooting regression for sure for the Scarlet Knights. But yeah, this team is borderline not making the tournament now. And that would have been a shocking statement just a few games ago, Jim.
Yeah, the biggest concern for me here, like they put on a run in the second half. Harper woke up, hit some big shots, had an and-one dunk that almost lit the momentum, but they couldn't get a stop. This team is supposed to be built on defense, and they just couldn't do it yesterday, and they kind of haven't lately at all, really. Ohio State lit them up. Michigan State scored 1 point per possession. It's just been kind of a rough stretch for them. They've lost their identity with Steve Peichel hammering nails type of thing. So,
Jim, I seen the chat mob, Philip Bonifer. Ron Harper looks out of shape. I kind of agree. He looked very lethargic last night. He has been, as Ky astutely pointed out, not the same player. And as they've been without some of their key guys due to injury, the downward arrow in terms of stock price is certainly flashing right now.
He had a really good second half. Like, I don't take that away from him. I think he had 17 or something. He kind of tried to bring them back, but they couldn't get a stop. I want to give a quick tip of the cap to Memphis, a team we beat up repeatedly on this show, constantly, really. We give Penny a lot of flack. They played nearly a perfect second half. They just kept getting drives and dunks. Alex Lomax was completely in charge of the ball. Musa Cisse owned the paint against Wichita. And that concern about the matchup there really came to fruition as Memphis sort of figured things out in that one. But let's hit the slate today. Let's get going. There's a big headliner at the top of the card. Michigan headed on the road to Purdue. Massive battle in the Big Ten here. Purdue is scorching hot right now. They've covered 4 straight games. They've won 4 straight games. But the public, the market really is valuing Michigan here. They bet it from -2 to -4.5. People think the Wolverines are going to roll here, it seems. Matthew, are you with the steam, or are you going to buy back with the way the numbers got?
Yeah, I was part of the steam, I think, Jim. I had my number at 4.5 as well, so right where the market has it appraised currently. It just feels like the right correction spot for Purdue. They've been on fire. They're obviously much improved, but this matchup in this spot is not ideal. I mean, Michigan has length and spades across the perimeter. You have Hunter Dickinson, the ultimate neutralizer, to Trevion Williams. And if you can kind of clamp down on the hub of Purdue's offense, which is what Williams is, I think you have a chance to slow them down. Ky, what do you think here?
Yeah, Michigan coming off that beatdown of Maryland. Best team in the league for my money, guys. I think most people probably agree with that out there. Maybe Iowa to some degree.
Home Minnesota.
Home Minnesota. You're right. Home Minnesota's number one. Jim, yeah, Boilers on a roll, man. 4 straight covers, 4 straight wins. 4th game in 8 days, though. Maybe a little tired facing the Wolverines tonight. Purdue certainly has the size to match up with Hunter Dickinson, who's been an incredible freshman for Michigan this season. Hopefully they can deter his productivity a little bit. But I think guys like Wagner, like Livers, should do whatever they want on the perimeter. It's going to be tough for Purdue to get shots up over that long perimeter like Matt talked about. So I agree. It's kind of a tough matchup for Purdue. But at 4.5, Purdue at home in Mackey, huge game, arguably biggest game of the year for them. I do lean towards Purdue.
Yeah, I do too. If it gets up towards 5.5, I will really start to think about the Boilers. I made this one down around 3, so the opener seemed relatively normal to me. We'll see where it gets to. No play officially here right now, but we are keeping an eye on it. All right, let's move on. Guys, it was supposed to be a Big East battle, Seton Hall at Butler, but unfortunately, that one got canceled yesterday and postponed, so we are going to bring in a pinch hitter here, and that is a Conference USA battle of 2 teams that like to run. Marshall at Florida International. Guys, the total has climbed 3 points, getting up towards 160, and Marshall's -8. They're 1-3 in Conference USA after a really tough start. The schedule has not been kind to them with the at Louisiana Tech series and then a home-and-home with Western Kentucky. So they are probably looking to bounce back, start to climb up the standings. And Matt, they get a short-handed FIU team here with no Eric Levette, no Radshot Davis. Are you leaning towards the road favorite here, or do you think the number's too big?
Yeah, I am, Jim. I think the spots negate each other, right? You have Marshall coming off 2 tough losses, Western Kentucky. They'll obviously be ready to play this. FIU, a tough loss would be an understatement. They lost by 40 to FAU in the rematch.
Yeah, you might be understating that.
I'm not even sure what the actual. It was bad, very bad. And Jim, you talked about the absence of Levette and Kerrigan shine through some of the warts of the reserves that FIU has. It's a kind of a top-heavy roster rotation. So the drop-off from the top 7 to the next 5 guys is pretty stark there. That was exposed. I think it's exposed again if they're out today. I would lean Marshall, but you have to know for sure that Levette and Kerrigan are out. So unless you have that information in your back pocket, I would stay away.
Fun analytic thing here. So Marshall, the top-ranked team in Conference USA still per KenPom. They're 1-3 in the league. They're sitting near the bottom. Kind of a funny thing when you see a top team like that. It's like Washington that one year, last year, I believe, when they went almost winless in the Pac-12, but were one of the better teams in KenPom. This game's going to be a track meet. I'm not surprised the over, or the total rather, has risen towards the over. I still kind of lean the over, even at like 160. These teams both run and gun. The question is, who's going to be the hotter team in this one? Both teams shoot a ton of threes.
Yeah.
With FIU missing those players potentially, you can't back the Panthers, I don't think. I think Marshall covers the 8 points. If those guys are out tonight, I would lean towards FIU if they both ended up playing.
Yeah, I would lean Marshall if those guys are out. I would lean the over if they're in. I think if they're out, that takes away a lot of weaponry for FIU offensively, which could hurt the march towards the total and hitting that over. But if they're out, then yeah, I think Marshall can run away from them here as an angry team that's near the bottom of the standings right now. All right, let's move on. Let's stay in the Conference USA. Louisiana Tech headed on the road to UTEP, all the way out to West Texas. Maddie, you've been a minor boy, but
yes,
I'm going to get Ky's view on this one first. Before we do that, Ky, Caleb Ledoux could be out for Louisiana Tech. That is a problem. He missed both UTSA games.
Yeah,
they were just fine though. Covered both of those games, so perhaps he matters less than we think. Are you going to be a minor boy here? Are you riding with the road favorite?
I'm impressed with La Tech, man. Like you said, swept UTSA without Ledoux. That's impressive. Split with both Marshall and Western Kentucky. Pretty solidly a top-tier team in this league. UTEP is one of those teams I don't trust a whole lot. They're one of those teams with a lot of talent, but for some reason lose some really weird games. They lost to Rice recently. That was a weird loss to me. I know Rice is playing a little bit better. The double loss in North Texas, they didn't look impressive in either one of those. It is their first home game, though, in 2 weeks. It's the first road game for La Tech in 2 weeks. Maybe there's an angle there somewhere. But I think this game favors Louisiana Tech, especially as a short favorite. They're going to live at the foul line today like they have been, rather, all of conference play. I just think it's a very, very good team versus a team I don't trust at all, Matt.
Yeah, I was just looking up our buddy Haslametrics, one of the great analytic college basketball sites. UTEP, his consistency metric basically charts how how up and down you play relative to your norm. 340th in the country. And the results indicate they basically flip-flopped in every back-to-back series in Conference USA. This is one where I'd probably want to stay away in the first leg, sort of hoping La Tech runs them out, and then Utep gets locked in, focused, and maybe I bet them on the second leg of the back-to-back here. But just tough to trust them right now without that dynamic in my side.
I'm leaning Louisiana Tech here. Ky mentioned the free throw angle. I think that's big. And also, UTEP scoring could be a real problem. They are 290th in two-point percentage offense, and Louisiana Tech is 53rd in two-point percentage defense. So it could be tough for them to get good shots, tough to get easy baskets in this one. I'm not a massive fan of Rodney Terry as a coach and what they run offensively. They got some talent in their down transfers, but I think Louisiana Tech can lock them up. I would lean towards Louisiana Tech. Not going to take it officially, though. It's a small slate for me, guys, today. We'll see how many end up with. All right, let's go to the MAC, the Mid-American Conference. Ball State headed on the road to Ohio. Boys, this is the cover photo of today. Jason Preston, the point guard, he is back for the Bobcats. Both teams can definitely score, but the total's been bet down from 150.5 to 146.5, so down quite a bit, while Ohio has been bet from -3.5 up to -5.5. Ky, are you riding with the steam here? Do you think Ohio gets it done? Or is this more of like a Ball State's getting healthier, they're a live dog situation?
I can't figure Ohio out. Are they even good? Do we know if they're actually very good? Like, they've had good efforts, I guess, but mostly been pretty poor. Even with Preston in their last game, lost by 10 to Kent State at home. Ball State, on the other hand, has been very impressive. They did have a kind of a strange loss to Miami of Ohio, but the Red Hawks have been playing a lot better lately. Noteworthy, they have played before, these two teams. Ohio won the first matchup by 10. Bobcats scored 1.2 points per possession. Couldn't really be stopped inside. I think that advantage continues. Dwight Wilson among the big men who ate in that game for Ohio. I do think Ohio is the better team. There's been some fortunate shooting luck on both ends of the floor for Ball State. So this is a good bounce back opportunity for Ohio. My number slightly leans towards Ball State, but I think I'm gut leaning towards the Bobcats, Matt.
Yeah, so worth noting, Brayton Hazen, big man for Ball State, has missed the last two games. His status for this one is uncertain. He's just such an important piece because they don't really have a lot of size up front. And as Ky mentioned, Dwight Wilson's really been a weapon for the Bobcats. He's kind of an old throwback, big guy, burly, a little bit undersized, but really girthy. He can score inside. The problem with the Bobcats is they haven't stopped anybody. They're dead last in the MAC right now in defense since conference play started. Some bad 3-point shooting luck, but they're giving up a lot at the rim too. Kind of an uncharacteristic trend for a Jeff Bowles coach team. I'm with you, Ky. I can't solve this Ohio riddle, so I'll just stay away for that reason only.
I liked it at the opener, 3.5, 4. I was like, yeah, I'm in on Ohio. I think they bounce back here, get it done after losing their earlier week game due to COVID. But I up to 5.5. It's just too much. It's too rich. That's about what I made it. And Ball State is getting a little healthier with Coleman coming back, even with Hazen possibly out. So I'm staying away as well. Now that this number's been bet up. Tip the cap to the market. You beat me to it there. All right, guys, let's go to Chat Mob, our first Chat Mob break of the show. I've seen a lot of questions roll in, so I'm sure you guys have had your hands full trying to corral all of those. Matthew, you got a list for us, though?
Yeah, I'm still taking notes here, Jim. We'll see how well I do with multitasking. We know it's not really my strength. But J-Man asking about Wright State. This is the today's matinee. Tips off at noon. They are traveling to Uwipui. A lot of steam coming in on the Raiders. Ky, I know where you stand on this one. Why don't you tell the folks what the right side is, even though the value's sort of been sucked away?
Yeah, value's pretty much gone now, but Wright State's the right side, in my opinion. Ha, nice pun, right side. Yeah, class of the conference in the horizon. Number one offense and defense in the conference since conference play began. IUPUI, certainly not as sucky as they've been in the past, but I don't think they have a chance in this game. So I'd still lean towards the Wright State at like 13, which is what I'm kind of seeing right now. Loved it at the opener at 11.5.
My number one's to bet IUPUI at 12.5, 13.
Mine does
honestly,
too.
Wright State's been like very zigzaggy. They will play great in one leg and terrible in the other. So you just kind of hope you get them in the correct one. Maybe I'm with Matt here where I sit out the first leg and pounce on either IUPUI if Wright State blows them out or Wright State if this one's close.
Yeah. Jim, I'll probably trail you on that strategy. CC asking if Nevada is a good bet tonight. They are traveling to Wyoming, or they're hosting Wyoming. I forget where that game is.
They're at Wyoming.
They're at Wyoming. Okay, short spread here. I believe -4. Nevada's been a cover wagon, by the way. Boise State and Utah State are hogging all the Mountain West headlines with how dominant they've been. But Nevada, I believe, is 7-1 in their last 8 against the spread, playing very competitively. Steve Alford using a bigger rotation, sort of a change up from his norm. We're used to thinking of him at UCLA and all the guards and shooting and prolific offense, kind of changing their approach here. It's been effective. Ky, any play here or no?
No play for me. I actually lean towards Nevada. I have not been impressed with Wyoming all year. Haven't really been on in many games. They're a young team for me. They're a team that's going to get way better as the season goes on under Jeff Linder, but I don't think they're there yet. And like you said, Nevada's been awesome lately.
Wyoming shot the crap out of the ball last game at Air Force. Yeah. I think probably a little bit of regression here, which matters because Nevada gives up a ton of threes, but you got to make sure you know Zane Meek's status. I think he's very important to this Nevada team. He's been really strong for them on the front line, so make sure to check in on him. He was injured last game.
I probably undersold his absence. And they're deep up front, but he's probably been their best big. So good note there. Leg Show Magazine asking about San Diego State Air Force. Jim, I know you have a strong take here on the side or total. I forget which one, though.
I loved the under because it opened at 131.5, but it's 125 now. People just absolutely hit it with a hammer. The total didn't make sense. KenPom had this game at 120, and Mitchell might be out for the Aztecs. So it's like, what are we missing here? But clearly, everyone else picked up on that too. I think the value's probably mostly gone. I'm not going to take it 6 points off the opener. So unfortunately, nothing for me here.
At Breezy Baby asking about Quinnipiac and Niagara. My boy, Breezy Baby. I have a take in this game. Ky, do you have an opinion on this as well? Or are you staying away from action tonight?
Staying away. Kind of lean towards Quinnipiac, but
yeah,
not strong bet.
Yeah, value got sucked away. I made Quinnipiac a favorite, and I see it's already been bet that way. So I'll probably stay away at this number. Niagara was without starting guard. I'm blanking on his name. Solomon,
Justin
I believe.
Roberts.
Justin Roberts, thank you. Solomon played. Roberts did not. Just something to know. They kind of struggled at Manhattan, so his importance may actually be stronger than I initially thought. Next one here, it's Ducky asking about a couple of games. Ace-Sun action, Stetson and Bellarmine. I'll be honest, Bellarmine's offense has been super impressive. You have to be able to make shots to beat them defensively. They're not very big. Stetson's a streaky shooting team, Jim. Do you think they get hot tonight, or is this kind of you don't really know what you're getting with the shooting, so you stay away?
I don't really know what I'm getting, but if the Stetson front court's out again, Kabimba and Diawara, both sophomores, missed the entire series against Liberty, I would lean towards Bellarmine. I mean, teams are making everything against them, and I don't think that's going to sustain. I lean towards the Knights. I think they're really well coached and possibly the third best team in this conference.
Second one here, Summit action, Denver, North Dakota State. We've been on Operation Fade Denver, and what usually is you're in pretty good returns, but yielded good returns, I should say. Unfortunately, Jace Towson likes to go off for 30 points on occasion. That tends to screw us. Ky, he's very good. They don't have much else besides him. Are you going to fade Denver again tonight?
Yeah, I am. I have a heavy lean towards North Dakota State. The number came down, so it came down to like -13, -13.5. I think that's good enough to lean toward North Dakota State in this one. I don't give Denver a whole lot of credit, Jim.
Yep, I'm going to make this one a play. I think Denver will probably be a little bit better at home at altitude. They played with Oral Roberts, who doesn't defend at all. And unfortunately for them, North Dakota State really does. So I'm going to take North Dakota State -13.5 here. I think the Bison take care of business at home.
Andrew Carr asking about Monmouth and Manhattan. I had a very strong lead to Monmouth at the opener. I believe it's been bet up to 5, or may have opened right around 5. Manhattan's played well since Samir Stewart's come back. It's not a team you want to watch play offensively. They're completely lost. But Stewart is sort of a bailout card, a get-out-of-jail-free card when they don't really get anything in their offense. So I think he's buoyed an offense that's atrocious. So for that reason, I'm probably going to stay away here. Ky, didn't you take the Hawks?
I like the Hawks. I liked them more. You're right, man. I think it might have just opened at 5. I thought I saw 4 earlier, but -5 for Monmouth. I definitely lean that way. Their offense is incredible. And make no mistake about it, Manhattan's offense is literally, it could be the worst in the country, even with Samir Stewart in the lineup. I'm going to take the Hawks here, -5 for official show play. Go Monmouth.
West Long Branch, the boys of West Long Branch. Yeah, they make us proud. Jim, please take the mic. I'll keep going now. There's a ton of inquiries, so let's just want to keep going rapid fire here.
Yeah, we will definitely. Well, no, we can save it for the end.
All right,
we'll hit the chat mob at the end after our best bets. But before we do that, we're going to finish out the outline. That means we're heading west to Cal State Bakersfield at UC Riverside, a big one at the top of the standings in the Big West. Riverside struggled with Hawaii in 2 games, whereas Bakersfield swept them at Hawaii. Do we see a bit of a rock, paper, scissors effect here, Matthew, or are you going to stick with the home team in Riverside?
I love the Highlanders. I think we have a board bet about how good their defense is going to be this year, and it's been pretty much as advertised. Mr. Ky McKeon, an analytics guru, he knows how to coach defense, and they've defended at a high level this season. However, my number leans the other way. So I'll probably be on the runners, even though it's a bad matchup. They rely heavily on the offensive glass. UC Riverside is stock full of trees up front. So I'm a little bit worried about it. I didn't play it for a lot, but I did take it because I think the price is right, Ky.
Yeah, like you said, the matchup is not great for Bakersfield. Number 1 offensive rebounding team in the league is Bakersfield. Number 2 in the entire country, but Riverside's the best defensive rebounding team in the league, 33rd overall. 2 of the slowest teams in the country, too, guys. This is going to be an ugly, grinded-out game. Riverside's offense has actually been very good in Big West play. They're number 1 in efficiency through 4 games in the Big West. That's impressive, something I certainly didn't expect. If they're going to play offense like that all season, they might win the entire league. Yeah. It's hard to see Bakersfield scoring very easily. The Highlanders wall off the paint just about as good as any team, maybe even in the country. So I'm with you, Matt. My number leans Bakersfield, but my heart kind of leans towards Riverside, Jim.
Yeah, I just believe in this Riverside team. Honestly, watching them, they kind of passed the eye test. Matthew was right about their defense. And I mean, right now they have 3 guys shooting 48% or better from deep, which is certainly going to regress a little bit, but they've got more offensive weapons than I realized. So I think the Highlanders are right up there with Santa Barbara and Irvine in this league at the top. Nothing for me there. Okay, let's move to the Sun Belt. A battle of 2 teams that we really can't figure out, particularly one of them. There's a lot of mystery in this one. This is Little Rock headed to UT Arlington. We've got Arlington is a very slight favorite at -1, but honestly, it's hard to know what to do here because of player availability on both sides. Yeah. Arlington potentially missing both of their starting backcourt members in Nicholas Ilame and David Azor. And then the other side, Little Rock, has whatever continued drama is going on with Marquise Noel, who I think was suspended last game because he threw a punch. He's also been sat down just by a coach's decision for a couple games because no one's bigger than the program, per Darrell Walker. So there's just a lot going on with the Trojans. It's hard to understand what to think of this team that was possibly the favorite in the preseason. Yeah. Ky, you are a Sunbelt guru in the preseason. Well, have you given up on Little Rock, or what do you think is going on with them?
Yeah, pretty much. I hate this team. They might be my most hated team in college basketball, Little Rock. They're so dysfunctional. What is the deal? They were awesome last year with essentially the same roster. Perhaps Kamani Johnson was the glue that held everything together, and his transfer kind of sent everything into a spiral. I was on Little Rock twice against Texas State. That did not work out very well at all. I really want to be on UT Arlington today, but the problem is I need to know if David Azor and Nick Ilame are going to be in the lineup. 2 of their best guards, 2 of their starting guards. Even without them, I sort of lean the Mavs, but I need them in the game. Little Rock won the first 2 in this matchup. This is their 3rd matchup of the season, which is kind of weird. So maybe they just have their number, Matt, but I'm leaning towards Arlington.
It's a hard stay away for me. I mean, you can maybe talk me into Little Rock as a buy low, but I don't know. They had 2 chances to basically pick off that spot last weekend, and they laid 2 eggs. So nothing for me here, Jim. Just a lot of soul searching with both teams, especially Little Rock.
It's hard to beat a team 3 times, guys. I'm not sure I totally buy that, but yeah, I do think there's a little bit of an angry edge for Arlington here, and Little Rock just seems broken right now. I don't. There's no reason to get behind that team and trust them when they haven't proven any reason to do that. So, yeah, stay away here when we're trying to still learn about these teams. And although I will probably take Arlington if Azor and or Ilame are in the lineup. So keep an eye on that one. I'll be checking the lineup for that one as well.
Chat mob saying Azor definitely out. Ilame is still a search quest.
Okay. All right, then probably nothing.
Thank you, Joe.
Good work, Wells. Good work.
Headed to the MAC with 2 A's, the Metro Atlantic, St. Peter's at Siena. Ooh. And we just got more and more injury questions here, guys. Jalen Pickett, his status is enormous for Siena, the preseason player of the year in this conference. He has missed the last 3 while dealing with a tender hamstring. you would think this is the type of game and matchup that he gives it a go for, with St. Peter's being one of the other top 3 or 4 teams in the league. The number did get bet down from 5 to 4.5, so maybe an indication that the market's skeptical of his health. Matt, what about you? You got any action for the people here?
I don't, Jim. I looked at this matchup. I think both sides have have potential edges in their own regard. I'm going to stay away here. You would think that St. Peter's could maybe attack the offensive glass, but Stormo's really been a nice surprise for Siena inside. So I think he's added a little bit of some physicality up front. I don't know, Ky, what do you think?
Heavyweight matchup. Two of the best teams in the MAC. I hope to watch this game. I really like the MAC in general, and these two are actually teams I enjoy watching instead of the dregs that can't score. Without Jalen Pickett, Jim, Siena looks kind of ordinary. They were against Fairfield and Ryder for those 3 games. Didn't really put on a show by any means. They need Jalen Pickett tonight against St. Peter's, a team who hasn't played since January 2nd. They dropped 2 to Canisius, which is a little odd for this St. Peter's team. I think it's a very good Peacock team, but they do have scoring issues. Siena's tough in the middle. Peacock's going to find it challenging to score. They can't really bully Siena like they like to do to other teams. Yeah. So I do lean Siena here, even at -4, 4.5. I need to see if Pickett plays, though, before I actually put some money on it.
Yeah, I think I would lean Peters if Pickett is out.
But,
nothing for me if he's in. All right, guys, let's get to best bets. That wraps up the outline here, and we'll get to Chat Mob after that. Matt, I think you are headed to the Big West for your pick.
St. Diego, Jim, not the Tritons, the Tritons, as I sometimes foolishly convince myself that they're called. This is one of our new D1 members this year. The young Tritons got bludgeoned in their first 3 Big West games. They played Irvine, they played Bakersfield, the Goliaths of that league. Now they get a team, UC Davis, more in their weight class, team they can match up well with. That's actually been in a COVID lockdown for what feels like forever. So, yeah, I'm going to be all over the Tritons here, Jim.
Nothing for me here, Matt. I think I've joined you on your best bet for about 4 or 5 straight days, but this is one I'm not quite there on. I need to see UC San Diego actually play defense against somebody, and UC Davis I kind of like, despite that long shutdown. I'm an okay UC Davis backer. Ky, are you with him?
No, I lean towards Matthew though. So go Tritons, as you like to say.
All right, Ky, what is your best bet?
Yeah, guys, I'm firing on the Jack Bunnies. They're back, man. South Dakota State is playing again. They haven't played it since January 9th. So happy to have them back. The market's actually gone against me a little bit. Good. I'm excited about that. So -14.5, -15. Class of the Summit against one of the worst teams in the country, North Dakota. They've been okay, Matt. Yeah, I know you're going to push back on that a little bit. Douglas Wilson, guys, is the key presumed player of the year in the Summit League. He was hurt earlier in the season, but played 23 minutes per game against Western Illinois 2 weeks ago. He's had that time to recover a little bit, hopefully fully healthy now. Worth noting, he averaged almost 27 points a game in 2 games against North Dakota last year. I think he slays him again tonight. If they double him in the post, guess what? South Dakota State has 5 guys shooting over 34% from 3, 2 of which are over 45%. I think it's a bloodbath. South Dakota State, Jack Bunnies, whatever Jack Bunnies say. Or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that makes something like that.
Ky, I'm seeing 14.5 for you there.
14.5. Mark it in.
All right. Yeah, I lean that way. The number's just a little too tall for me, so I will not be joining Mr. McKeon, but I think he's probably got the right side as well.
Knock on wood.
All right, my best bet, and I thought about going Charlotte, guys, but I'm not doing it. I'm not going Charlotte. I'm going with Grand Canyon in the WAC. They're on the road at Dixie State. This is a high number, -11 on the road, but the Antelopes match up crazy well with Dixie State. And Dixie State is also missing a key guard in Dazon Youngblood. They have been really, really rough without him, not covering against New Mexico, 2 non-covers at UT Rio Grande Valley. Now they face the biggest front line in the WAC that's going to dominate the glass, going to make things difficult to score at the rim. Dixie State doesn't have a ton of shooting. They've only got a little bit, so being able to shoot over the top is not a huge edge for them. I think this one, they just kind of grind them into dust, maybe a little bit of a crock pot type cover where it takes a bit, but I think eventually Grand Canyon wins by 15-ish.
Jim, I'm coming with you. Grand Canyon -11.
Get
Dixie
on board.
State 31st in the country in field goal attempts near the rim. Grand Canyon 10th in field goal percentage defense at the rim. They ain't scoring inside tonight, Jim.
I like that thought process. All right, Matthew, that is our best bets. Let's get back to the chat mob. I know there's questions rolling in.
Yeah, they're coming in hot here. Harry R. asking about South Alabama, Georgia Southern. I was a Jaguar boy last weekend. I was also standing for Georgia Southern, the Eagles, but I have them in exile now. They're now in timeout. That team just made me so frustrated watching them against Troy, a Troy team that was also shorthanded. They had to eke out a cover in the second leg. They didn't deserve to win either of those two games. There's value on Georgia Southern here. I just can't take them because I'm too scarred from what I watched last weekend. Jim, I think you're bold enough to go back to the G Southern well, aren't you?
No, not the number. I was begrudgingly going to take it at 4, the opener, if it was there, but it got bet down, and I'm happy to avoid being on Georgia Southern. Yep.
Polo Pabone, if I'm pronouncing that right, probably not. Asking about Oakland versus Detroit, the battle of the Motor City here, Ky. Do you think Greg Campy and the boys get it done, or are you looking at Mike Davis and his son Antoine to eke out the win?
I lean Oakland, -1, short spread. All they have to do is win the game. I think they're slightly better than Detroit anyway. So, yeah, I lean towards the Grizz.
Oakland's already won twice at Detroit. Keep that in mind. So there is that, potential revenge factor of playing for the third time already this year.
Yeah, I think Detroit could be a little bit of a buy low. I think they're 1-5 in conference against the spread. They have a lot of talent. They're just kind of sort of still figuring out the pieces there. So I'm kind of have my eye on them as an upswing in the near future. Dewan asking about Coastal Carolina. Troy brought up Troy in the Georgia Southern breakdown. You have to know who's playing for them. They had a key guy out last game, and Nick Stampley. They've been pretty competitive. Scott Cross, the coach you respect. They're feisty. They got some athletes, but Coastal really impressed me, Jim, against Georgia State. Even though they were without Kane Williams, I was mega impressed with what the Chanticleers did. Do you think they get it done tonight at a pretty big price?
Yeah, it's up at 11.5. I think the Chris opener was 12, which I sort of lean towards them at 12, but it's come down a half point. I'm not dying to bet against a big favorite Coastal, but Troy has really slowed things down this year. I thought they'd play faster, and slowing things down has helped them, I think, cover as a dog. So, yeah, my lean is towards Scott Cross and the Trojans, but not going to play it.
HOLD Siege. Ask about we talked to the Jack Bunnies. Excuse me. We'll skip that. My number does lean Nodak, by the way. Ky, I get my counterpunch in there, but the matchup, as you astutely pointed out, not so much.
You're just a Nodak guy. That's okay.
I am kind of a Nodak guy. Grand Forks, stand up. Rice UAB. A couple of folks asking about this one. Heavy steam coming in on Rice. The Owls have been super impressive. I think people are catching on to the talent that Scott Para has accumulated there. But UAB, what have they done wrong? Andy Kennedy has those dudes defending like gangbusters. Ky, is there any play here for this Conference USA showdown?
No play for me. I think Rice is overvalued, though, so I would caution against taking Rice. UAB's been a fireball. Why are we so confident that Rice covers a game that's going to be a ton of possessions, I think?
I think both teams are overvalued, to be honest. And Rice has been bet down a little bit here. I kind of like the over. I think both teams have both played really slow opponents in their last 2 weeks, basically. And now they're teams that are willing to run with them. So I think this one probably goes over.
A couple of inquiries on Lipscomb, Florida Gulf Coast. Man, Florida Gulf Coast, what is the deal with this team? Michael Fly has in no way lived up to his predecessor's standards. He has a decent amount of talent there, but some of these results are really jarring. Lipscomb, on the other hand, started to improve as we predicted. Jim, is there any value here on either side, or are you staying away?
I would lean Lipscomb here. I just think this Florida Gulf Coast team is bad. They got smashed by 15 plus twice by Bellarmine, and Bellarmine's just new to D1. Yeah. So, yeah, I think Lipscomb is still a little undervalued in the market because of that bad early start where they didn't have KJ Johnson, their point guard. So, yeah, I made this one about 8. In fact, I'll take it. I'll take it on the show. Let me see if it's -5.5 or -6. Yeah, -6. I'll take Lippy.
I guess I'm going to be the short slate guy today, as I only have one play locked, and that's fine though. I'll save my volume for tomorrow. Ky, let's close this one out with two of your favorite teams, Rider and Marist. I know how much you love both these squads. Offensive firepower for days, 195. No, this is going to be an ugly, gross game. Total at 133, bet down from 134.5 at the opener. Rider is short favorite. This is a I have no idea what to expect type game for me. Are you in agreement, or do you have an angle that I'm not seeing?
I still like the under, even though it's 133. Both these teams' offenses are a tragedy and a travesty, both in one, rolled up. I would not recommend watching this game. I don't think anyone had plans to necessarily, but don't watch this game if you have plans. I lean Marist at +2. These teams are pretty much equal in my eyes. Marist might even be a little bit better, so I lean towards them and the under.
Yeah, Maris lean for me here too. I think this is a major coaching mismatch.
One more last second. Scott Craig, FDU at Merrimack. Jim, any takes there? The Warriors play that funky zone.
Make sure you check on Elijah Williams' status, the big man for Fairleigh Dickinson. He was out last game, potentially due to some of the COVID stuff. If they're out of the shutdown, if he's out again, I like Merrimack again.
Yeah, I think I agree. All right, Jim, trying to sign us off here.
All right, thank you everybody for coming in and participating in the chat, watching. Make sure you hit that like button. We really appreciate that. It is huge for the show. And also subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/SBR Sports. Our friends at sportsbookreview.com do a great job getting this all set up. So we appreciate them. Check out the site, sbrpicks.com/NCAAB. And check out the other videos on the YouTube channel, by the way. Jamming with J Money for the NBA. Plenty of other shows there on soccer, on football. Give them some love so that we can keep doing this show. We always appreciate keeping the lights on here. But that wraps it up. We'll be back on Monday with our SBR show. Same time, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Central. We'll see you on Monday.